The ocean is peaceful and beautiful, but it can also kill you. Ray Boundy and his girlfriend were out on the water having a good time when a big shark attacked them. Both of them were badly hurt and will have scars from the attack for the rest of their lives. This terrible event is a reminder of how dangerous the deep blue sea can be and how important it is to be careful and ready before going into the water. Before we get to the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Let's dive into the video. In the year 1983, Ray Boundy, who was then 27 years old, was residing in the Australian city of Townsville and having the time of his life. Despite his young age, he was renowned throughout the maritime community as an accomplished and seasoned sailor who captained a long trawler boat. On the 22nd of July, he and his crew were getting ready to embark on a shrimp fishing excursion around the coast of Northern Australia. They were joined by a second captain by the name of Dennis Murphy, who was 23 years old, and Linda Horton, who was 21 years old and Murphy's girlfriend. Midnight had arrived and it was growing darker outside. The waves were becoming more violent as the storm became more severe, and the boat was taking more damage as a result. When the crew of the trawler finally became aware that water was entering the vessel from the inside, they immediately began making every effort to keep the vessel afloat. Dennis jumped off the boat just in time to avoid being hit by the enormous wave that had suddenly appeared in their path. Because Ray and Linda arrived at the jumping platform too late, they perished, along with the ship. The crew immediately came to the conclusion that they didn't have a lot of options, despite the fact that it was obvious that swimming all the way to either side would be quite challenging. They barely had a few minutes left to retrieve some belongings from the ship before it sank completely, and the ship was in the process of sinking. They did not squander any time in retrieving items from the shipwreck, banding them together with ropes, and retrieving a surfboard to use as support in the turbulent water. It was a flimsy solution, but there were frequent sightings of sharks in this part of the water. The team had been swimming for an entire day at this point, and they were still at least 30 kilometers away from land night. Darkness was descending, and the area around them became engulfed in darkness very rapidly. Then, there was a commotion in the water, although none of the crew members were responsible for it. When the three individuals spotted a fin in the water close to where they were, they slowed down their pace and made an effort to avoid going too quickly. It was a shark, and they didn't know what to do except stay still and quiet in the hopes that it would swim away. Dennis and Linda were so scared that they could see their hearts racing and couldn't stop being scared. Rush Ray tried to comfort them by whispering that shark attacks were rare and that curious sharks usually leave people alone if they don't bother them. At this point, their makeshift life raft had broken, and each one of them was holding a small piece that kept them afloat. Tiger sharks are the second most dangerous sharks after great whites. Their size and jaw strength make them one of the most dangerous marine predators in the ocean. They can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, and both their lower and upper jaws have teeth that face inward. This lets them grab and chew on whatever or whoever gets in their way. Out of the blue, Ray felt the huge shark under him, but there was nothing little Ray could do. Soon after, the shark came back and bit him on the knee. Ray kicked it as hard as he could, which made the shark give up and swim away, but the shower could now smell blood, so they knew it was coming back. All three of them were screaming and splashing in the water, trying desperately to scare the shark away. Every time they heard a splash in the distance, they turned their heads to see if the shark was coming closer. Sometimes, they dipped their heads under the water to try and see the shark, but it was too dark. Waters favored the shower, which puts the hopeless crew at a big disadvantage. It broke the water again and quickly went back under. Suddenly, Dennis let out a loud scream and said, "Agony! They've got my leg, you jerks!" Dennis yelled from a distance and tried to kick the shark again, but it didn't work as well as the first time. The shark had come to eat and wouldn't let go of Dennis. Dennis was pulled under and above the water several times before he finally let go. He was unable to move and in a lot of pain. The water around him was a pool of blood, and as Ray and Linda swam up to him, it was clear that he was losing his life quickly. Dennis was missing an entire leg, and he was bleeding so much that he would soon lose consciousness. Linda and Ray used a piece of cloth as a tourniquet to try to stop the bleeding, but it wasn't long before the shark returned, not giving them even a few minutes of peace. Dennis realized that he could not be saved, and that it would be best for him to die so that Linda and Ray could get away. He yelled at them to leave without him. Pulled never to be seen again, Linda couldn't keep her feelings in, so she cried out of helplessness. Ray offered her momentary comfort, but it was clear that they had no option but to sustain a steady. As they paced toward the island, 2 hours had passed, and their speed warranted optimism about their survival, but it was short-lived. The shark appeared once again and began circling. In a cynical manner, the shark took a plunge deep in the water as they were both frozen in fear. All of a sudden, it broke the water surface and this time went straight for Linda, biting into her arms and torso with a firm grip on her body. The shark shook its head violently from side to side in an attempt to chew off a bite of her before finally diving back into the water once more. Ray was only a few hundred meters from shore when the shark reappeared, but Ray saw an approaching big wave and was able to catch it, using its speed and height to create distance from the shark. Exhausted and severely traumatized, he finally let his emotions go and began to process what had just happened. 27-year-old Ray was found the next day at 10 a.m. by an Australian Air Force rescue helicopter that had been looking for the crew since they went missing after the storm. Ray later became a captain, sailed on more boats, and lived his life as a fisherman. He was never able to fully recover from this intense psychological trauma, and he suffered from anxiety and PSD for a long time. That's it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to share and press the bell icon for more regular updates.